Welcome. I'm your host, Michelle B. Griffin. As an author, speaker, and certified personal brand and PR strategist, I'm here to empower you to build your personal brand and own your lane as a visible brand authority and thought leader in your space. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going. Hey everybody, it's Michelle, and today we're getting into flipping the switch on social media visibility and specifically on LinkedIn. You know, we hear all the time, and you may be seeing it yourself, social media reach and our visibility is way down. So I've invited 3 incredible guests on Own Your L.A.N.E Live that I'm sharing here in audio format that share exactly we're making our own way, making our own connections, our own opportunities. So you're going to meet 3 incredible women who are authors, speakers, podcasters. They're going to share their struggles and their successes, their breakthroughs, and even more importantly, their tips on how they're doing it. Now, this was a really fun and very engaging episode when it ran as a LinkedIn Live show. It had 300 plus comments. So you, my incredible listeners, I want you to continue the conversation. That's what Own Your L.A.N Live is. And of course, here in the podcast, let's have a chat together. I'd love for you to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you are making your way as the expert-led business owner you are. So let's get into the show, meet our 3 guests, and start helping you flip the switch on social media visibility. Welcome everybody to Own Your L.A.N Live, the show that helps you clarify and communicate what sets you apart so you stand out for what you do best. I'm your host, Michelle B. Griffin, coming to you live from Own Your L.A.N headquarters in beautiful downtown sunny Pensacola, Florida, and my new office. Yay! It's wonderful to have you here on this reboot. Today, we're talking about flipping the switch on visibility, and in particular about LinkedIn and the algorithm. We are here with my 3 guests and you listening, watching wherever you are about creating the human algorithm. LinkedIn reaches down, so what? We have made our own way. We're going to share you exactly how we do it as incredible, badass speakers, authors, and podcasters, and all around amazing women in business. So I want to welcome to the show Jihan Haridi Arnowski, coming to us from North Dallas, Texas. Jillian Whitney, coming to us from San Antonio area, Texas. And Beth Ann Campbell, coming to us from Virginia. We're here to get right into it. I'm going to start first with Jillian. What's one way you've consistently shown up and stayed visible, even when you're not posting every day, Jillian? Because I don't think you're posting every day. And I know you've been on LinkedIn a while. So tell us how you do it.
Well, right now I'm taking a break from my live stream. So I've taken the last couple of weeks off and I have been live streaming for 4 years. So I think I earned a bit of a break. So I decided, hey, it's summertime. I wanted to take a break. So what that means is when I was live streaming, I was here every day and I was posting, this is what my live's about. And then the day of the live and the day after the live and yada, yada, yada. It was half my week. So now what I'm consistently doing to show up is I am still doing my podcast, but I am repurposing old episodes from the vault. And that is something that everybody can actually use. You have content, and it doesn't have to be a podcast from the vault. It can be your memes from the vault or your GIFs from the vault or anything that you have. And what I do is I am taking my podcasts from my first podcast, which was LinkedIn Easy Peasy. I now have a new one, which is Easy Peasy Books. And I'm saying, which of those episodes are relevant today to a different audience? And I'm now writing an article. It is my LinkedIn newsletter. So that's going to go out to people who subscribe to it and people who just come across it on LinkedIn. And I embed the podcast so they can actually listen without leaving the article. I put in, here's the key insights, the takeaways, here's who I spoke with. So I'm, of course, now leveraging whoever was my guest as well, because they're going to feel flattered that this article and podcast is being shared again and everything old is new again. So that's Probably my biggest tip to people, be like me. Just go ahead and say, I have a vault of content that I have been posting over the years. So, what can I take that's old and make it new again?
I love that we're Netflixing Jillian. And that's the thing, the recent algorithm change, we don't care about the algorithm so much, but we do know because it was in a Business Insider article recently that LinkedIn is saying that they're really supporting relevance. And so making sure that your content is evergreen is a great way to still be seen. It's still being shown up. We know we're seeing posts and content from 2 to 3 weeks. So that's one really good tip. Thank you for sharing that, Jillian. Now let's get rid of Beth Ann. Beth Ann, you're a podcaster, you're an author, you're a LinkedIn live stream host as well. So what are you seeing to, even if you're not showing up daily, how are you doing it?
Well, I'm a great person to ask this question because I don't post every day. In fact, I just took a week off. And I love talking about the algorithm because we know it's so finicky. But I love what Jillian said. So yes, I have a live podcast. It's called The Thirsty Professional. We go live every Friday. Michelle's going to be my guest in 2026 for season 2. Can't wait for that. But yeah, I do the same thing. I do repurposing, but I love that you don't have to post every day. I have probably gotten almost as many great connections and conversations and relationships through comments, through networking calls associated with people on LinkedIn, through sometimes through DMs. DMs can be a little fickle. Newsletters. I mean, you don't have to actually post your own material. If you can, that's great. Repurposing is great, but there's so many more ways on LinkedIn, even just talking to people in comments. In fact, I love it when I'm taking a little time off. Like last week, I had my sisters were visiting, so it was kind of just taking it easy. But I checked in, and I checked in to make sure that if people were commenting on some of my old posts, which is going to be very relevant now because I think the algorithm now is going to be showing more older content, is what I'm hearing. But even just some of the new posts that are out there and going in and having fun with the ones that really resonate with you and that you really have something interesting and fun to say, that where you can connect. So I just talk to people in some other format than a post.
Well, I on my LinkedIn profile right now, you will see that I am powered by human connection. That's what we need in the age of AI too. Right? You can't go wrong, old school. I just want to reiterate, you never know who you're going to meet in a comment, and you just never know will that will land. Now, Jihan, you recently posted that you gave yourself a little break. You love to share that shine, and you gave yourself some weekend pause. So tell us about that, and how are you showing up and beating the algorithm even when you're not posting all the time?
You bring up a very interesting question about this. What's interesting about LinkedIn is this: I've been on the platform for 17 years. And when I say on the platform, 15 of them active, the past 5 years, hyperactive. So much so that previously I used to just by design every weekend I would post, and it was because I was working in a full-time permanent role over the years, so I always felt compelled to show up. Like, it was literally just ingrained in me. I would show up Saturday or Sunday, even though I stopped working in a permanent role a couple of years ago, founder of my own business. Now I've loosened up on that a little bit, but somehow I just kept that weekend mentality going. And a few months ago, I went to an event here in Fort Worth, and I remember feeling so much guilt. I thought, I never not post on the weekends. And then I thought, okay, well, whatever, LinkedIn goes on. Then the next weekend came along, and well, same thing. I had stuff come up. Then the third weekend came, then the fourth week, and it literally started to pass. And I started to feel less guilt. And I still continued to build my LinkedIn because I'd been showing up for years in comments, in posts. And mind you, I don't post every day. I've never felt able to do those things, but I still showed up for others. I want to say I'd posted maybe about 4 or 5 times on the weekends over a 5-month period. And here I am still, and my network has still grown. And I take those breaks that we all deserve.
Back in 2021, I posted every single day. I gave myself this ridiculous challenge. I ended up doing 532 posts because the year before I sat on the sidelines, like, how do I get in? Now, the minute that changed, January 1st, 2022, I'm like, oh, thank God.
I'm done. But it ingrained me. So I've always been 3 to 5. Lately, in the past 6 months, especially since I've been here in person, I haven't been showing up, as regularly, but it doesn't matter. I show up daily. I give people shout outs in the comments. I just connect with the people. And that's what it takes. As long as you're consistently doing something in your own way, we have to give ourselves the space and the grace and the place to do it. Take those pauses, take those presence pauses. It's okay, because that's going to fuel you to come back. Jihan, we're going to start with you. You built a strong. How are you intentionally turning that presence, that connection into real collaboration, not just false collecting numbers and vanity metrics?
Back in 2016, I think it was, I hashtagged connect with intent because I'm a big firm believer in intention in all things. Back when, even 15 years ago, people were starting to see me when I had, maybe 400 or 500 connections at the time, followers. And you still, treating everyone then and now with intention. So it's knowing who your target audience is, knowing the people that you really want to engage with, and really nailing down where you want your time to be spent. And this, going back to intention, I live and breathe this every day. I'm intentional with those I connect with, those I support. And that's helped a lot because it weeds out the rest of it. So at the end of the day, you can have 50,000 followers, you can have 100,000 followers, but you can only stay connected and really engage with so many people without overstretching yourself. So that's why, and I show up with, okay, how is this going to serve me today? And how can I best serve others? And that's what I try to lean into anytime I get onto LinkedIn. I would rather show up for others intentionally than anything else. So.
Quality versus quantity. Now, Beth, I'm going to talk to you because you and I met in a networking event, and then we took it to the next stage, which I always recommend if it's the right fit and you hit it off. And we went to a Zoom call and we hit it off. And that's turning a conversation rather into a connection and even a collaboration because, you're here and I'm going to be on your podcast. You just never know. You see the sequence here. So how are you doing the same with who you're encountering, who you're here to help, and all the things?
I could probably write a book about all of the different interactions that I've had that have turned into me paying people and other people, people buying my book or people being guests on my podcast. But when I started off on LinkedIn, this was back in the day a little bit. I mean, I've been on for probably a decade and a half, but really more active, maybe a few years before COVID. And it was in corporate, so I was kind of the lurker. So I really didn't have a whole lot of intention, which is very true of a lot of corporate people, especially nowadays. They're just afraid to speak out. And then corporate got bad and I needed to rant. So I started side gigging, and then I got more involved with the entrepreneurs of the world and the business owners. And I had to become a little bit more intentional because now I have a book to sell. And now I had at the time a different podcast. Now I have my current podcast. So I'm here on LinkedIn primarily because of my live podcast and finding guests and having those great, raw, blunt, fun conversations like what you and I will have in January. So it's a little bit easier for me because I'm looking at a broad set of people. But I still go into every conversation, every networking call. And it's not about what somebody does. My ideal client is a little bit broader than a lot of people. So I'm looking more for personality and candor through those conversations, either in the comments or in networking calls, face to face, the coffee chats, and think about, how do I relate to this person? Is this somebody who I would want to be in a room with, virtual or otherwise? I've pivoted so much, and just for my background, I go into it with a mindset of I'm really just looking for that connection. I kind of go into it, I'm very relaxed and intuitively, and not really giving an F about, what people think, because if they aren't a good fit, they're not a good fit, and that's okay.
You said the magic words. I hope everyone listening, watching.
Was it the F word?
No. Well, that maybe, but when I got on LinkedIn, everyone feels like it's so buttoned up and boring, and it has to be boring, and it should be you and whoever you are. And just, have you noticed it's not the buttoned up corporate thing it used to be? LinkedIn does not have to be intimidating. I know it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And what we're talking about here is not like how to write content and blah, 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 all the junk you see every single day. We're talking about real human connection, the long game, really intentional with who you are, what sets you apart, how you help people, why you're here, and your goal. Because LinkedIn is the launching pad, as I always say. LinkedIn is where business conversations happen, is what LinkedIn's mark. That's their tagline. So I love that we're threading this with just real old school stuff. Now, Jillian, you are queen of connection too, especially all the LinkedIn lives. I'm still in disbelief someone has done 400 LinkedIn lives. So tell us how you're handling all this and bringing conversation to connection and often collaboration.
Well, I'm a self-professed introvert. Nobody ever believes that, but it's absolutely true. And so doing LinkedIn Lives over the years and getting to know people, and I went into every single podcast episode, LinkedIn Live episode, whatever you want to call them, actually looking at somebody and saying, what can I learn from this person? And how can we then now share this with whoever is going to watch, who's going to watch the live, who's going to watch the replay? And every single thing was a conversation and was like, let me learn from you. And that's how we should actually approach everybody in our life. Everybody in our life comes in to teach us something. So it's a magical thing. And I had the opportunity last year to go to the UK, and I was an international speaker for Uplift Live. And I realized I was now going to meet so many of the people that I had virtual conversations with. And I was a little nervous being an introvert and all, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle all these people? But then I recognized they were just friends I had not met in person yet. And so I've actually met you, Michelle, in person. I've actually met you in person, G. I haven't met you yet, Beth Ann, but I will. And there is something wonderful when you take those connections from online to offline. And it truly was, it exceeded expectations. And so I think that's how we should look at everything. It's like, if you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, think about, what can I learn from them, as opposed to, maybe I can just shove my pitch at them and they'll go buy my book and they'll go buy this. That's not how I approach people. With, what can I learn from you? And maybe what can I help you with? When we go from that service mentality, that makes a connection wonderful. And then you can have a Zoom connection, and then maybe you can have a podcast episode. And then maybe one day you're going to be driving through their town and you say, hey, maybe we should get together for a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. And that's how I think things work. And like you said, the next thing you know, you become a collaborator. My very last book was a collaboration of me and Tina Jarvett, who were both speakers at a conference. And we were, best friends that got to finally meet each other in person. And we were so excited. And then we said, hey, we should write a book about this. That's how things happen. So, you always start at the beginning with this minor thing of, how can I connect with that person through a comment? And then all the way down with, maybe one day I'll write a book with that person.
You just never know. What I'm hearing here is the direct opposite, which we won't get into the dark side of the DMs, where people just connect with us, pitch slap us, and we're done. We are playing the human connection, the human algorithm here. And this is what people need and want and respond to and relate to. And it is a little bit of a longer no. I think the fact that we show up like this, we actually are jumping faster than the people who are doing all the annoying, obnoxious things on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is what you make of it. We can never outsmart the algorithm, but we can out connect, is like what I like to say. So we're coming into the third and last question from today's guest lineup. So Beth Ann, you're a speaker, a podcaster, and LinkedIn live show, and author. And how is your LinkedIn presence? How has LinkedIn helped you develop thought leadership?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've the gamut of different career choices. 23 years in corporate and consulting, utility firm, consulting firm. Then I got laid off. So then there was a lot of angry corporate person. And then it was trying to figure myself out. I did coaching. I was writing books all at the same time. So through all of this, I've had to pivot a lot, mostly on LinkedIn. And the one thing that I will say that has helped me with credibility, with growing my amazing connection network, with that thought leadership, is everything that I do. There's a great quote by Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, if you know him. And he said this in a video, and he said, I'm willing to deal with the ramifications of being my full self. So everything that I do, I bring passion, authenticity, humor. I love using humor. I try to be consistent with, my personality and my message. Transparency. I'm very big on transparency. So I think just being our full selves and our real selves consistently helps us over time. So I've been actively doing this for 6 or 7 years through corporate, through book author, through podcaster, through live podcaster, through coach for a few months. And it's always the same thing. If you go out on my Facebook, it's the same message. And it's easy to become a thought leader, and it's easy to make that happen and make your voice heard and received when you bring your full self and you do it in a very authentic way. Because when you're fake, people know about it, and when you're marketing, people know if it's super dry, right? And my worst fear is the mundane, is being lumped in with the same old, same old. So my tip for anybody is be your full self. I'm not saying everybody has to you have to publish your Laura Palmer diary, but I'm just saying, be your full self as you can. Don't be afraid to use humor. Don't be afraid to be transparent and call things out. And for me, that's helped. That has helped me. So I'm kind of known as the kind of the quirky person who's not afraid to call out the bullshit. And I like that. So that works for me.
I love the credibility thing. I just want to interject to really hone and build your credibility, visibility, authority. It starts with being clear on, why you're here, who you are, because there's brilliant people. And this leads to the bland and the boring. They haven't really done the work to know, who am I? And I'm not saying in a woo sense, just to communicate that brand so that the right people get it, how they're different. That's the work I love doing. And so that when you are clear, you become confident. And as I write and position yourself, I have a line like the clouds part, the sun shines. You're like, yes, I'm on my way, because I absolutely get it. Like, I'm clear and this is who I am, and unapologetically, I'm going to be myself. And the right people find us, and the right people relate to it and get it. So it snowballs. So those go hand in hand. So thank you for sharing that. So we're going to go to Jihan. It'll be a year next month that you wrote your first book, and that had a big play. LinkedIn did help you because you shared your journey along the way, which was incredible.
If I may just share as a reminder, I'm very, very fortunate to be here, and this all ties together today. I would not have written this book if it were not for two people on this call right now. Thanks to Miss Shelby Griffin for loving a Disrupt HR talk called HR is Not Satan, Humanizing the Evil Experience. I mean, taking HR and flipping it on its script. And Michelle gave me great feedback. And then when Michelle suggested writing a book, and with Jillian Whitney's help, I was able to publish this book. So I took a message, and because HR is such a vilified profession, I mean, you have so many people out there saying, I hate HR and HR this and that. And my unique quirk, I show up as I always do, and in a very sometimes conservative profession that's not always welcomed, but in other times it is. And those who really appreciated this book get me. They want more of it. It goes back to our not being for everyone, showing up as our best selves when we can, how we can, and giving the value and leaning into people who want to support us and cheer us on. That is so important. And going back to LinkedIn and how all of this ties together, I would not be here had I not met Jillian 5 years ago and engaged her as my coach. I would not be here had I not stepped into Michelle B. Griffin's clubhouse room 4 years ago and transferred that relationship onto LinkedIn. These things all tie together. And it's when we show up as our best selves and appreciate the people who embrace us along the way and allow them to boost us up when we don't even always feel that for ourselves. That's when the magic happens. And it's about not being afraid to be visible and tasteful, of course, but showing up as your authentic self.
There's power and payoff, as I like to say, in putting yourself out there, PYOT, which is, my movement to help more brilliant people get out there. When we're really dialed in and who we are and our profile and all that, it's the opportunity tool that can land you on guesting, LinkedIn Lives, opportunity to write books, collaborations. And that's why I said when I wrote this event post, Who cares if LinkedIn reach is down? You make your own way. The opportunity is here. And we're showing this exactly how we do that today. So, Jillian, to close this out, let us know how LinkedIn, your visibility, putting yourself out there has really helped you grow your thought leadership. And give us a tip for those who may be on the sidelines and want to do the same thing.
Okay. So I'd have to say that with LinkedIn, been on the platform, quite a few years now. Prior to COVID, that's sort of when I got on and started taking it seriously. And what I found is that LinkedIn is a really, really big place with billions of people in many, many countries all over the world. And you can't write, that's one thing I would say as a book coach. You can't write for everybody. You have to write for the people that you think that you can reach, and think of it as your little corner in LinkedIn that maybe somebody would appreciate. So when I started posting on LinkedIn, I started posting about video because that's what I was doing at the time. I was in online marketing. And I just wrote about the struggle and everything I was learning. Here's how you caption a video. Here's how you edit a video. I just did different things. And one thing I had found is a lot of people said, I'm not comfortable on camera. So I started writing about how to feel more comfortable on camera. And not a lot of people paid attention to me, but some people did, and they found it helpful. And then I began making videos about that. And then I took those videos and I transcribed them and I made them into a book. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of my takeaway message to everybody is when you find the thing that you're passionate about, that you would talk about, even if nobody ever paid you, even if nobody ever listened. My first LinkedIn Lives, nobody came. It was me and my sister just talking. But the thing is, if you build it, they will come. I know you're not supposed to say that Kevin Costner thing, but it actually does work in terms of if you keep putting your message out there, one person, it just has to be one person will resonate with it. And then you might say, maybe I'll make a little bit more content. And then eventually one day you're like, I have enough stuff here to write a whole book. Mm-hmm. So that's what I tell everybody is your voice matters, your message matters, your lessons and your insights matter. And if you can put that out in a post, an article, a video, a this, a that, anything else, you're going to change somebody's life somewhere. And you may never even know about it. But I think in our hearts, we do know.
That's brilliant. And it's the ultimate testing and refining ground. You can see what really lands and maybe pivot. So let that be your testing ground and your compassionate, your area of service, right? And that's a beautiful way of thinking, not how can I get something? How can I give to someone? How can I serve someone with what I love to do, who I am, and what I believe in? The right people will be there to receive it. And ladies, you're phenomenal at what you do. I want to really reiterate all the incredible things we said today about flipping the switch about visibility. Let's get that profile really dialed in, and we've given some really good tips today. So each one of you, Jihan, Beth Ann, Jillian, thank you so much for being a guest on Own Your L.A.N.E Live. Thank you all for being here today. And if you would like to check out more about what I do, please head to michellebgriffin.com. And I am going to be back next month for another edition of Own Your L.A.N Live. So please join me and be sure to follow for all the latest updates. And as I like to close out every show, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. We'll catch you next time. Take care.